evening. I'm Carol Logan, and welcome to Danscapes. Today on our program, we'll discover the Gowanus Arts Exchange, a community arts organization located near the Gowanus Canal. In addition, we have a dynamic performance by Galen Hansen. Welcome to our show, Galen.
Thank you, Carol.
It's nice to have you here. So, what is the piece that you're going to be doing for us tonight?
It's called Momentary Stories, and it's a solo piece that I've choreographed.
How would you describe this piece?
Well, when I first began working with it, I thought about the relationship between physical movement to mental image. So it sort of developed out of that.
And I understand that you debuted this piece at the Gowanus Arts Exchange.
Yes, I did.
How did that go?
It was very nice.
It was received
really,
well?
Yes.
Well, that's good. Well, we will be right back with Galen's performance of Momentary Stories. But we've been hearing rumors about the Gowanus Arts Exchange, and we sent our crew out to track them down. And this is what we discovered.
People often have trouble finding us. I got a phone call yesterday from somebody from Grand Army Plaza, which is 12 blocks from here, and said, "I'm at Grand Army Plaza, where are you?" And I said, "Well, look at are you at a phone booth?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "What sign is in front of you?" And he said, "Well, I'm at St. John's Place." I said, "Well, we are St. John's Place. St. John's Place becomes Douglas Street at 5th Avenue. He was maybe a 7-minute walk from us. He had no idea where he was. Well, the Outback series, which is our monthly series for new dance and performance, is the only monthly showcase for new dance in New York City. There are a lot of other showcases, but there are none that are held monthly. What artists tell us is that not only is this just a place for them to perform, but it's a place where they feel like their work is nurtured, where they're not going to be judged, where they're going to be supported, and they're going to be treated extremely respectfully. I think artists feel like they can come here and they can take chances.
Take this down. Dear someone, I regret to inform you that I no longer wish to continue our intimate relationship. Period. It has become apparent, now, while I have enjoyed our time together very much, it has become apparent.
The Gowanus Arts Exchange holds an extraordinary number of programs. Starting with educational programs, we have classes 6 days a week for children and adults, both avocational and professional classes. The space is used by many hundreds of artists during the year as a rehearsal space. We have performances here, both the series that we were speaking about earlier, the Outback series, as well as performances for children, performances for families. This space is used for other community groups to have meetings, to have retreats. As a community arts organization, rather than a performing arts organization, we have a very different obligation and a very different commitment to our community than an organization whose prime purpose is just to promote the performing arts. It's really to explore and to work with the communities that surround us. Sometimes those are geographical communities, some of them are artistic communities, some is just the city that we live in. New York City as a whole is our community as well. One of the things that we'll be doing this spring is called Borderlands La Frontera, which is our Festival of Latin American Arts and Artists. It was a way that the Gowanus Arts Exchange could work with the Latin community through dance, through music, through theater, to just celebrate the vast amount of rich art that there is in the city made by Latin American artists.
The girl who's supple and slim, the girl whose manners are grim, the girl whose morals are dim, is my sweet temptation. The girl who lives by her wits, the girl who tears things to bits, through doing cartwheels and splits, is my sweet temptation. I can ride a curve, horse that disturb.
Our mission educationally, our missions, we have missions, plural, but our missions educationally is to foster creativity. There are people, I'm sure, there are kids that have come through our programs or are going through them now who might wind up being professionally motivated to be in the performing arts. But the vast majority of children coming through the programs will not. This is something they're doing while they're young. Hopefully they'll do it for several more years. It's about them finding out a different part of them, learning about themselves as creative individuals, teaching them about the creative performing artist that's inside of each one of them. We really do believe that there's a performing artist inside of each person. And it's easier to find it with children, but it's true with adults too. I live here. I have children here. I have children that go to school here. The neighborhoods that we are part of need us too. It would be a tremendous loss to this area of Brooklyn if the Gowanus Arts Exchange didn't exist. There's nothing that's sitting on the sidelines waiting to take its place. It would just end. We're at a crossroads, and unless we're able to increase the sizes of our audiences, bring in more money, we're going to close.
Support the arts. Organizations like the Gowanus Arts Exchange are a valuable resource in our communities. They inspire and entertain all ages. They provide opportunities to develop the artist in all of us. And now, we're lucky to have with us this evening, Galen Hansen. She performs in New York City with the Randy Warshaw Dance Company and has recently performed at the Gowanus Arts Exchange. This evening, she will perform a work of her own choreography, Momentary Stories. that was wonderful. That was incredible. Well, can you tell us a little bit about the process that you use when you're creating a piece? And how do you come up with the ideas?
Well, Carol, there are lots of different ways of coming up with ideas, and I think I try them all throughout the whole process, basically. But a lot of the movement is generated from improvisation, and oftentimes I'll give myself a particular idea to work with, and it may be about a particular way of articulating my body, and then I'll try and somehow save that material, which is not always easy to do.
I can imagine.
To remember it, or I don't have a video camera, so you can't just turn it on and
right, and remember it exactly. Yeah. Well, do you prepare the dance with the music at all in mind? Do you have any music in mind
when I started with this piece, I really was just working in silence for quite a while, really up until the last 3 days right before the performance. And I had at one point thought about using music, and then I couldn't. I only use music if I feel like it's really the right thing, and so I'd rather use silence.
So
unless it's
why would you use music then? What would be the purpose of having music if you didn't originally conceive it with music?
Well, I felt like once I had established what it was that I was working with and the rhythmic structure that I sort of had made up on my own, then when I actually found music that seemed somehow like it had a strong character to it and could help create the atmosphere for these stories to occur in, I used that, and I chopped up little pieces of it and put it all kind of in order with different silences in between, and in a way it was like scoring a film. So
Wow,
it was
incredible.
It's an interesting way of working
Yes.
with music.
So also I was wondering, do you work with imagery of any kind?
Yeah, I'm working a lot with changing my attention in different ways. So I may be initiating movement with the palm of my hand, and then I'll think, well, how can I change my attention from here? What else can I do that is completely different from what I've just done? And in a way, it's like tricking yourself, and it's a really exciting game to play, because you come up with lots of things that if you were really thinking about it, you wouldn't come up with them. So you're sort of, I feel like I'm accessing a certain part of my brain that is not that easy to access, and that's an exciting place that I've gotten to with making this dance in particular.
Well, will images make you? Will you have images that will make you create a movement, or or vice versa, or will a movement create an image for you?
Well, it works both ways, and what I was trying to do in this dance was to not hold on too tightly to any images that came up at all within the process. So if when I was generating the movement, I was thinking about reaching towards somebody else. When I first did that movement, that's the thought that came into my mind, but that maybe the next time I did it, it would have a little bit of a different character to it. Maybe it was more holding my hand on the back of somebody's neck, or it had, because my physicality had changed just a little bit, because it's really very hard to be so precise. It sort of changed the way my brain thought about the image that was connected to it. So, and sometimes it can be an entirely different image. And sometimes when I'm dancing, especially in performance, when you're really in a more heightened state of experiencing the movement and the images, some really incredible things will happen in my brain. And it would be nice to have a videotape of what they were.
That's wonderful. Well, getting off that track just a little bit and talking a little bit more about the Gowanus Arts Exchange, how important is an organization for a dancer like you, like the Gowanus Arts Exchange?
Well, it's really very important, Carol. there are really very few places in New York to show work if you're a young choreographer, or if you're even if you're an established choreographer and you just like to do something that's a bit of an experiment and you're not really sure about it, and you don't want to have an evening at the Joyce to do it.
Right.
You just want to see, well, what's going to happen. And it's really, I feel like it's very important to have performing experiences of your work on all different sort of levels of our stages that the piece is at. And that experience of performing something, you cannot recreate that in any way in a studio. Either, you just can't do it by yourself. You need the audience, and a place like Gowanus is really fantastic. It allows a lot of people to show their work, and to also feel like there's a community of people showing their work. I mean, just showing on a program, you meet other dancers who are showing, and
You exchange ideas and things like that. And what would you say is the important reason for the community arts? I mean, an organization like how for the community does that have an impact? The Gowanus Arts Exchange, how do they impact the community?
Well, I think it's in a lot of ways it's educating the community. It's if there is a place like Gowanus in people's neighborhood, they're more likely to see dance, and maybe to see dance at a younger age, and to feel like it's an important part of our culture. And a lot of people don't have that opportunity, and a place like Gowanus is really important.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Galen, for coming and dancing for us. It was absolutely wonderful. And thank you for joining Danscapes. And remember, the Gowanus Arts Exchange is located at 295 Douglas Street, Brooklyn, New York. So do drop by and say hello, and thank you very much. I'm Carol Logan for Danscapes.